those.
Let's meet at the park. Let's meet at the
Jessica.
food park. One of the murals.
Yeah,
So you gotta get it before dark. I'll be back in the city about
they did.
5.
They were. I stayed up. You normally don't see them, but they were fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. You know, this could be a very special season.
Okay. All right, I'll call. Yeah, let's do it Wednesday. Then that way I have time to call.
Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular council meeting for September 11th. The time is 7:30. Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Yes. Councilwoman Aaron? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
I'm here.
Councilman Fleming?
Here,
Councilor Rohrbach?
Here.
Councilman Soltis?
Here.
Councilor Wright?
here.
Mayor Grabstein?
I am here. The invocation of Pledge of Allegiance this evening will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Bliss. I invite you to stand if you would like.
All right, given the day, and we are just, right across the way from where I was on September 11th at Lanford High School, I'm going to read a poem by a poet, journalist, and activist, Kevin Powell, that is a part of the 9/11 Memorial. Please bear with me, it is a little longer than these invocations normally are, but I think it's fitting for the occasion. Might it be, as my mother said to me on this ugly, sinful day, that the world is on its last go-round. Hijacked wild birds strip the sky of its innocent morning breath. Steel towers crumble like playing cards on an uneven metal table. Unrehearsed screams we dare not hear leap from windows into the open, bottomless palms of God. I cannot stand to watch life reduce itself to powdery dust and soot, layering the devil's inflamed mouth. But I am fixated on the television anyhow. Is this what slavery was like? Is this what the Holocaust was like? Is this what famine is like? Is this what war is like? Is this how you felt, dear mother, when King and the two Kennedys were killed? I want to stitch up the sky, deny humans the right to fly, cry until my tears have washed hatred from the mildewed underarms of history. And I want to say to the firemen, yes, the firemen, your husband, your father, your brother, your uncle, your friend, thank you for speeding to the end of your time. And thank you for showing us that courage is a soul so unselfish, it would scale a collapsing building to liberate a stranger. Even as your blood relatives are wondering if you are alive, from the remains of this madness, I detect a heartbeat called life. From the remains of this madness, I smell an aroma called love. From the remains of this madness, I embrace a body called humanity. From the remains of this madness, I construct a dream called hope. From the remains of this madness, I will ride the wings of the deceased into the clouds, scribble their names on the sun, erect a memorial to the moon, and chant the blues for New York City, and then resurrect a world where a newborn will rise, jut through the broken concrete. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That was very fitting for today. Up first, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions this evening?
Would you like me to add it now?
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought we would do it at the end.
I thought we were doing it at the beginning.
No, you need to do it now
Yeah.
under executive
Okay.
session.
All right, so I'd like to add under executive session a discussion on 3 different legal cases: Arctic Fox versus Madison Heights, Bloom Capital LLC versus Madison Heights, and 305 North Euclid LLC versus Madison Heights, to a closed discussion that is not subject to the Open Meetings Act.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. We are adding a closed session. Are there any other additions or deletions this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on. First item up is presentations from the Director of Public Services. This is the Summer Beautification Awards.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Beautification Committee to present the 2023 Summer Beautification Awards. So as always, we were presented with some incredible nominations, and further, when we were out on the drive, which was the evening of July 25th, we came across many additionally spectacular homes and businesses throughout our city. Now, as you can imagine, and as you will see in the examples from the upcoming slideshow, coming up with a winner can be a very hard decision when so many people in the city put such care and effort into the upkeep and beautification of their homes. So in the end, it all comes down to the final aggregate scoring from the committee. This year, it is my pleasure to introduce our first place winners, Mark and Linda Lennart of 29068 Forner. So as you'll see in the presentation, the hard lines of the classic brick ranch are softened by the graceful curves of the lawn and flower beds, which provide bursts of color and multiple layers and shapes of lush greenery. On behalf of the Mayor and Council and the Beautification Committee, may I present you with this certificate of appreciation, and also supporting Madison Heights business, a $50 gift certificate to Mia's Bakery and Coffee Shop, which is up on 14 and Campbell.
Come on up. Yeah, don't be that shy. Congrats.
It's gonna come with it.
Technical difficulties.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for all you do.
In a very close second place, if I could please call James and Marianne Simmons of 28305 Brush. As you'll see in the presentation, their home takes full advantage of its corner lot with a spectacular and vibrant mix of perennials, annuals, and shrubs as far as the eye can see.
You need to print that description for them, and they can put it on a plaque in front of their house.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
It was beautiful. Congratulations.
Beautiful.
And now we'd like to present a brief presentation of the 2023 winners and nominees. So once again, may I thank everyone who participated in our 2023 Beautification Awards and the countless residents who take that extra time and care to keep our neighborhoods and our city looking great. The Beautification Committee will be back in December looking at holiday lights and decorations, so please send those nominations into DPS. You can call our office or dps@madison-heights.org or recreation@madison-heights.org. Call any city office, it'll get down to us, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you all again.
thank you to everyone who works on their gardens and makes everything in the city look so lovely. Thank you to the winners and to everyone who also does great work with their gardens. Next up, we have a presentation for National Preparedness Month.
So in honor of National Preparedness Month, Mike Looper with the Emergency Management Specialist with Oakland County Emergency Management is going to be making a presentation for us today.
All right, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and citizens of Madison Heights. I'm Mike Loper with Oakland County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I've been there for 22 years, which means I was there working in the Emergency Operations Center during September 11th, 2001. Prior to that, I was in the military service in the Army and also a law enforcement career in Atlanta, Georgia. Came home to Michigan, third career, that kind of thing. So I'm going to take about 15 minutes. I've got slideshows that are going to be made available to your different ability to provide those. That just helps me along. And then you've probably noticed the table out front, which is free to anybody that works here or visits here. Stuff to promote emergency preparedness, disaster preparedness in your home, in your car, while camping, while vacationing. Those things out there are, a lot of them promote our phone number and our web address, but also promote the ready.gov theme of this month, which is National Preparedness Month. September is National Preparedness Month. It's been so for about 20 years now. It's a DHS FEMA, if I use acronyms too much, let me know, program that promotes readiness for all hazards and specific hazards based on your community. I think she's going to help me out, otherwise I got, all right, next slide. I'll explain who I am more in it later. So National Preparedness Month 2023, we're in the middle of September for that right now. A lot of places do preparedness days, and a lot of people pick September 11th, so perfectly that you had a council meeting on this day. I was invited to about 6 of these, and I chose Madison Heights because of a long story there, but I enjoy the city or know the city very well. So, next slide. All right, 2 minutes to briefly tell you about the emergency management system and overview for the elected and public officials, as well as the citizens who may not know. So basically, Oakland County Emergency Management, every county in the state of Michigan has an office like us, been around since the 70s, basically a county office of FEMA. It's required by Michigan Public Act 390. And we were thrown into everything on September 11th, 2001, and became Homeland Security as well as emergency management. So we were pretty much disasters, RUTs, tornado sirens, and all that stuff. The 275, now almost 277 tornado sirens or outdoor warning sirens in Oakland County are activated by us. We work closely with your police and fire departments and your public works, public services on all kinds of preparedness, because it's a cycle or a continuous effort to prepare for things before it happens in what we call blue sky. I know it's cloudy today a lot, but we call it blue sky when we're talking to citizens and encouraging you to be prepared for the day that we hope never comes. And while everybody wants to prepare for a certain thing, what do I do in a hurricane? What do I do in this? Prepare for all hazards and specific hazards that may face your community if you are on next to a railroad track or you're next to a waterway or something like that. Other than that, just be prepared to stay or go. Now, every county in the state of Michigan has us. We normally, city manager, mayor, you only see me if you're having a really, really, really bad day. So if you've never met me before, that's a good thing. I was down here a lot or involved in a lot in 2014. The governor of the state of Michigan is in charge under Public Act 390. At the county and local level, FEMA considers local and county to be the same thing, even though in Michigan we have cities, villages, and townships that we respect their authorities and autonomies. The governor, basically, our office at the state level is the Michigan State Police Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division. We work closely with the state, we work closely with the federal government, we work closely with the private sector, non-government organizations, private nonprofit, and VOADs, volunteer organizations. I am responsible for, and our office is responsible for the County Emergency Operation Plan. It's a 600-page document. The base plan, the basic plan or the base plan is open to the public and on our website. If you Google Oakland County Emergency Operation Plan or EOP, you'll get that base plan. It's about 60, 80 pages. It explains the county's disaster preparedness, response, and recovery operations and strategic plan. Now, what's required from the local level is every 4 years I review and you update your local emergency operation plan, support plan to the county plan. If you're over 10,000 in population, which since I've worked here, Madison Heights has been, you every 4 years, I usually go through the fire chief a lot for that, but you have to adopt it and approve it the next chief elected official and council. So that's, whether it was last year or this year, I got 60 cities, villages, and townships I track for those. The hazard mitigation plan is up for review and updated right now as we speak. It's being worked on. So if you get approached about that, to either host or participate in a hazard mitigation, open to public meeting, please partake, because you have to adopt our hazard mitigation plan every 4 to 5 years to be eligible for grants, a lot of federal FEMA grants that are available. National Incident Management System, NIMS and ICS, are what we use to respond and recover from disasters. That's mostly your fire and police that know how to do that, but everybody has a role in that. And if you declare a local state of emergency, the county executive, you basically ask my boss, Tom Hardesty, for assistance and the county executive for assistance. And then he or she forwards that request for assistance and the county declares state of emergency on your behalf to the governor in the state. If there's one city, only one city, or a recent example would be South Lyon and South Lyon only. We worked with them right away. I was the first contact with that city manager that Thursday night and Friday morning. They were solely the jurisdiction declaring a state of emergency in Oakland County. So they had to sign, the mayor had to sign off a form that a letter basically, asking the governor and the county for help. That could be in the way of a generator, it could be in a way of coordinating, helping you do damage assessment, impact assessment, to requesting funding, which is always what everybody wants. Next slide, please. Know your hazards. I said earlier real briefly to not be prepared for a hurricane or not try to prepare for a wildfire like Maui, or don't try to do that. Know that you do have tornadoes and severe weather. You do have some flooding, basement floodings, things like that. You have severe weather, you have extreme cold, you have extreme heat. Have we experienced a public health emergency in your time? The pandemic is the largest impact disaster ever. I've never in my career doing this in total 45 years, I've never seen every state and every county and every territory and every tribal nation declared a federal major disaster declaration at the same time. Unfortunately, that the mental health issues from that, the school issues, the economy issues, and the cost of that is going to be unbelievable for many, many years. But in Michigan, if you know, no matter what it is, it generally causes my power to be out. That's what you should prepare for. If it generally causes my basement to flood, that's what you should prepare for. Don't try to, is it hurt? It doesn't matter what it is. Be prepared to stay or go. Be prepared to evacuate or shelter in place. Next slide, please. This here is for your city management and your city council. I can email these to you if you haven't already seen. We've given them to you and your predecessors over the years for nonstop, even before the Oxford shooting, which our office was involved in for 9 months and still involved with the township and the city and the village and the school system there. But this is the first 24 hours and a playbook for the next days, weeks, months, and years if you have an unfortunate mass violence incident in your city. We will be here. We will help. We will help your fire and police and your city work through the state and federal issues that come with that, and the 24/7 onslaught of national emergency or national media attention and everything else. So be prepared for that. I can email these to you. If you've never seen them before, I can make them available to your public officials and elected officials. Next slide, please. So be prepared and prevent and protect if at all possible. Mitigate. Mitigation means trying to do something to lessen the impact of something. That could be having a generator. It could be having an emergency preparedness kit. So if you lose your power, you have a flashlight. All right, not candles, flashlights, and batteries. You have the ability, you maybe have charged your cell phones and your devices before. You're not always on empty, like a lot of people are at all times. Maybe having a full tank of gas in case you had to leave and go stay somewhere else. All right, or maybe you had to get in your car to stay warm. There's all kinds of good things for that. So mitigation is taking steps to prepare for something and lessen the impact. Response, usually that's the 911, the red and the blue lights, and all those people you pay good for and you try to recruit to maintain. I'm here to tell you, boy, if you got somebody young that wants to be a police officer, firefighter, paramedic, they are in need. So when you call 911, somebody's there. But we work closely with them in training and exercises and providing stuff for your specialty teams, mutual aid agreements, hazmat, and things like that. Recovery is where we go into that phase right after. The first 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours are the response and saving lives. And then we take over working with you to try to recover. Everything from damage assessment to debris removal to the media onslaught to the applying for assistance from the state and federal government, which doesn't come as easy or as much as everybody thinks it does. Everybody thinks the minute I have a foot of water in my basement, FEMA's coming with money. It's not that way. It's insurance and it's friends and faith-based that tends to help you clean up. All hazards, very specific hazards. Again, if you live on a waterway that always floods, or if you live next to a railroad tracks, or you live next to I-75 and 696, you got to be prepared for certain things like rolled over tankers and things like that. But other than that, just be prepared to stay or go. Be prepared to lose power or lose water or whatever you have. Be prepared for at least 72 hours, 3 days. Now we're saying 96, 4 to 5 days, and maybe more, longer. That's with somehow surviving without cable TV, internet, going back to playing cards and using a flashlight and cooking on the grill, everything that's in your freezer until the power comes back. Normally, if you don't need immediate life-saving assistance, because we ask people not to call 911 because your power's out or cable's out, or you don't know what's going on, so you want to know what's going on, find a way to get the information, keep yourself informed on what's going on, but don't clog up 911 who's dealing with really, really serious emergencies, helping. If most citizens would take care of themselves for about 96 hours, the cavalry would come or the system could catch up. Even DTE Energy can probably fix the system within 96 hours if you just get out of their way. Okay, believe me, it's a problem. So have a plan, have a kit or emergency supplies, have supplies to stay, as well as grabbing in a go kit and leaving. You get told to leave. In hurricanes, you see it in Florida, Texas, other places, they get a notice days and weeks in advance that a hurricane is coming, and by the time it's about 24, 48 hours out, the technology is now where they can zero in and say, this county, this city needs to evacuate or shelter in place or get out of the way. In Michigan, we call it no notice. We get very little advance notice that something bad is going to happen. Sometimes you get a tornado watch or a thunderstorm watch, or you get told that, hey, there's a fire at an industrial facility on Stevenson Highway, and I live close enough and I'm downwind, so maybe I should consider, things. But also have a communication plan with all your family members. Realize that you're probably going to lose local cell towers, but you might be able to text a relative or friend in Howell or Flint or Ann Arbor that you're okay or that you need help. You may not be able to get to the cell phone towers, but you may be able to text someone in another jurisdiction that has not lost their system and tell them you're okay, or And please do that. Please tell everybody you know outside this area that you're okay, so they're not trying to drive down here in the middle of it to see if you're okay. Or they're not calling 911, trying to get transferred to Oakland County or Madison Heights to see if you're okay at Brush Street, one of those streets I know. So if you survive for 96 hours, normally it'll take care of itself. Be prepared to evacuate with very little notice. Most of the evacuations in Oakland County and local neighborhoods are natural gas leaks. Most evacuations are, even a fire in a neighborhood or a tornado or severe weather or a flood what does it cause? It causes the power to go out because it affects a line. So that's what you should prepare for. How can I survive for 96 hours? Oh, I can keep my refrigerator closed as much as possible. I could cook stuff on the grill. I'm going to lose, if I think I'm going to lose everything in my refrigerator, cook it and eat it. Don't panic. Say, oh, hey, we're pretending we're up in the UP for vacation this week, and we're camping out. Okay. Be aware of social media and use social media as much as you can, because a lot of things are being promoted on social media. But we realize you may lose those warning sirens real quick because we need to move on. We're the ones that activate these. Everybody thinks they go off, and I should be able to hear them 24/7 in my house with my windows closed and my TV on, or I'm sound asleep. And that's not true unless the siren happens to be on your block next to your home. The sirens are intended for outdoor warning, for people on playgrounds, at schools, at the park, at the golf course, to now seek shelter in a safe place and get more information from the apps that we ask you to have. One app that I'm going to promote is Oak Alert. Oak Alert's coming up here in just a moment. I'll promote it more on my way out. We are the activation point for iPause, the FEMA and FCC's version of emergency alert system and wireless emergency alert, WIA. So we promote that. You get that automatically if you have a newer phone, unless you've disabled it. It's the same thing as an Amber Alert. We do not do Amber Alerts. That's a Michigan State Police thing for another reason. But we do use that for Madison Heights Fire Department calls. I know the chief and the hazmat people really, really well, and they say, hey, we need everyone south of 11 Mile in Madison Heights to shelter in place, which means close their windows, close their doors, and maybe use a mask, one of those masks you have left over until whatever it is blows east or blows away or dissipates. Whatever those orders are, we have the ability. You might have a local Nixle or something like that at the police department, but we have the capability to federally override your phones and devices and send messages, and we can actually also polygon or circle off the area specifically. Otherwise, it goes to everyone in Oakland County. It is, that iPause comes out automatically, and the federal government's going to test it here in about a month. The Oak Alert that I want to promote here in just a moment is a system that we own and operate, and your police department, fire department can call us again and say, hey, put this out, and we can promote it to all of Oakland County. It is opt-in. You must register. It's really simple. It says, please check in and log in at all the promotional equipment stuff down there. We want you to get a text message or an email that there's a tornado warning in Oakland. That's why the siren's going off. It's not the first Saturday of the month at 1 o'clock. It'll say fire. You might have 1,000 apps, the ability to get it, but ours is the official one. Okay. Next slide, please. Almost done. So there's a lot of this emergency preparedness stuff out there that promotes having a kit, having a plan, having a communication planning, and staying informed. All this stuff out there, give it, if you don't want it, take it for somebody. I wish I would have brought more of our little bags and stuff like that, but I'm going to leave it here with the city's permission for city staff, visitors, people at your adult center where we usually give this stuff, and leave it here. It should be all gone by the end of the month, September Preparedness Month. But everything out there promotes you having a kit and having a plan. Okay, next slide, please. This should be this Oak Alert. All right. Easy. One way you can do, you can use that QR code. You can go to our webpage, which you can search Oakland County Emergency Management on Google or internet. You can go to our webpage, which is emergency management. There's a hyphen in between emergency and management, like Madison Heights has. It's easy to find, and you can, all you gotta, but you gotta give up an address or something like that. Other than that, all we're looking for is an email address or a text message that we can send you. And we do not use it for just everything. We don't use it because your garbage is not gonna be picked up, that's your city's problem. Okay? We use it because there's an emergency in your area or your community. Okay, next slide. And this is us. I'm gonna be out of here soon. Be prepared, be safe, and be resilient, especially use this month, September National Preparedness Month, to get prepared. My boss is the Director of Homeland Security Emergency Management, Tom Hardesty, and the Chief of Emergency Management, Rob Seeley. And we absolutely appreciate you being here. Our 24/7 EOC phone number, office phone number, is 248-858-5300. 24/7, it's on everything out there on the table, just about. Your dispatch centers know, and your hospitals know, and everybody knows to call that number. After hours, we have somebody on call 24/7, an professional emergency manager who's available 24/7. After hours on weekends, it rolls over to a dispatch center. Sometimes we're in the EOC during weekends, such as Woodward Terrain Crews and major events like that. And then our major or generic email address, oakeoc@oakgov.com, oakeoc@oakgov.com. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to not take up too much of your time. Should I ask for questions or answers or later?
If anyone on council has any questions.
How about, council? And what I do is I'll promise to sit out there for an hour or so, and if somebody has questions, very specific questions about things, or want to pick up some of that stuff out there, don't be bashful, don't be shy. It's for you as citizens and staff of Madison Heights. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have a meeting open to the public, so this is the opportunity if members of the public wish to speak. You can go to the podium. I ask that you leave your comments at 3 minutes. You address me, give your name, address, any affiliation with the city. So just be courteous of the people in front of you and behind you. We can stay here until midnight if everyone needs that time, but I don't think we need that time. And I just ask that you keep the comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Kathy Sapia, and I'm a resident of Dartmouth Street. I'd like to emphasize the word resident. Dartmouth Street is a residential zone. My neighbors on Karam Drive and Bel Air, we've been good sports these past 3 years with all the traffic, but that's another problem. The problem today is our homes and our value. About a month ago, everyone got this notice of public hearing, and it said alley behind the gas station. So I thought, they're going to back it up a little bit, have some storage for Gatorade, cigarettes, clean up the alley. Then I came to the meeting, and I got this proposal, this big diagram. They're going to knock out, they already bought the house behind the gas station. They're going to knock that down. They're going to have a drive-in, drive-through restaurant. And as I talk to more people, my fellow residents on Dartmouth, Karam, and Bel Air, thank you, a lot of big plans are coming. As soon as, if this goes through, the gas station value is going to go up and our home values are going to go down. We want to keep this residential, and I'd like to know what you as a city council, what's your status on this? I say leave our street alone. If he wants to have an empire on the corner, he already owns Marinelli's lot, go out that way. Make whatever you want, do another strip mall there. But one by one, I'm afraid our houses are going to go, and we're not going to have a street anymore. It's just going to be in and out. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? You can just go up.
Hello, everyone. I am at 28754 Dartmouth, the same as her around the corner, but I am 2 houses off of 12 Mile. Now, I have dealt 3 years with I-75, big semis, big double gasoline trucks going by my door. I sit on my couch, and what I see is the door of the house they're tearing down. I'm looking right at it like I'm looking at that man. That's not what I want to see, is an empty parking lot where he puts all of his people. That's proposed as a parking lot for his restaurant and his drive-through at the station. This is not right. You can't do us that way. We are citizens. We live on a commercial, a residential street. This is not a commercial street, but they want half of the street to be commercial. That's not right. We pay taxes. We want you to stand behind us, please. We beautify our homes. His home, the one that's going to be tore down, is now a sore eye to us. There's broken glass in the alleyway, which they're going to make a driveway around the station out that way, and then the big parking lot is going to be next to the house near the station. That's a person that is very upset because the next one is straight across from me, and they're putting a big double wall around his house. Come on. I mean, this is a residential area, and we are proud of when we put our flowers out there, and we grow our gardens. Now they want to turn it into another 12 Mile, half a 12 Mile. Come on, guys, stop it. Give us back our residential area. We love our area. We put our flowers out. We're proud. And we do not, I be sitting on my couch, and I just retired. I worked all my life since I was 13. I sit there, and I now got to look at that house they're going to tear down. That will be a parking lot for his restaurant. He's got a whole 2-acre there to get out on 12 Mile. We had a restaurant there before. We had no problem. But now he wants to own the whole street. Come on. Can't say no to him? He's got that much money? That's called greed. We are residential people, and we're trying to make it in our little world. We don't need big power to come down and push us out. I want to look out and see flowers. I don't want to see people coming to and from a restaurant because that's right adjoining to my driveway. And not only that, I'd be scared to death to go out at night. You're taking my freedom away as well. Because that's dangerous, especially with the world like it is now. You don't know who's walking on the streets and where they're coming from and who is who. Say no to him. Dartmouth's not big enough for him. I lived out in Sterling Heights for a short time when my husband was sick. They took every corner. My friends had to move. Don't make us move. Let us move because we need to, or we have to. This is America. He can't take it. It's up to you to say no. We're depending on you. Every one of us are. And I don't want to look out my front door and see a restaurant, people coming and going and driving. Not only that, we don't have parking spaces. We depend on those two on the street. If we have neighbors come and visit, friends come and visit, relatives, they have no place to park. He'll be taking those two. You're locking us in and locking us out. So which one is it going to be? And then we lose our value of our homes. We don't want to do that.
Thank you for your comments this evening. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? You can give everything to me, thank you.
I'll say so.
And you have to look at it that way.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew Erla. I live on Dartmouth Street. There's already been 2 restaurants in the current location, I believe. Both have failed horribly. So a third restaurant doesn't seem like a great idea to me. And then we're proposing a drive-through service as well, which is going to cause additional traffic down our street.
Yes.
And if you know anything about our street, it might as well be the entrance ramp to I-75. Because you have people flying up and down our street all day long. And I agree with my neighbor about the parking situation. It's a mess to begin with right now. If you have more than 2 cars in your family, good luck. Because you can't do it. I mean, the traffic situation already, like I said, is absolutely horrendous. And this is not gonna help. It's gonna make it worse. And we're gonna be boxed in. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? The podium is still open if anyone wishes to speak.
Anybody else? Dartmouth? I totally agree with you people on Dartmouth, but that's not what I'm here to speak about tonight. We did have the K-9 demonstration this weekend. It went very well. Of course, K-9 Harco was the star, and then we had, K-9s Rocky and Apollo from Royal Oak, and K-9 Conan from, from Hazel Park, K-9 Conan from Royal Oak. They did a great job. About 80 people showed up in Rosie's. It was very nice. Our police and fire had a softball game, which, you know, the fire won this year, but we'll get them next year. And even though I wasn't able to attend that softball game, excuse me, I was told that the Oakland County Health Department inspector was. This is to make sure that food is properly prepared and handled. Like when I first stepped up to this podium, Mayor, and I told you about the HRC Pride Picnic that there was no permit for. When I asked you what could be done about it, you gave me a number to Oakland County. That's not what I wanted. I had already spoken to Oakland County. They asked me if I wanted to file a personal paper. No, I didn't want Oakland County involved. I wanted you guys to make them hold themselves accountable for not following an ordinance. You tell the people we have to follow them, but you members of council don't? Stop it. Excuse me. And then, excuse me, I was looking for someone, anyone, especially Mr. Wright, to admit, yeah, I did that, it was wrong. I shouldn't do it, and I would never do it again. That never happened. None of you said anything. So what else? Is that just a little thing, so it doesn't matter? This little picnic doesn't matter? It's for public safety, ladies and gentlemen, public safety. Like the mask you wore, the vaccine you got, 6 feet apart, not going to outdoor parties and things when the COVID was around. This is the same thing. It's public safety, no matter how big or small you think it is. You bruise the integrity of our council by sitting down and not speaking up. It, to me, hurt, because I've never seen a council so lax in keeping track of themselves. I've lived in the city my whole life. Never have I seen a more self-serving council than what I see sitting here before me today.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening?
Hello, my name is Dale Kohler. I live on Karam Drive. I'm just off of Dartmouth. I'd like to add my voice to the opposition of any added improvements along that area. Dartmouth is a very busy road.
Amen.
It's only 2 streets, or 2 lanes, okay? I know on this sheet, they say that it's 50 feet wide. It's only 25 feet wide.
Yes.
I measured it. And there's no left turn lane, there's no right turn lane. There's people that go down Dartmouth to get to 12 Mile, they have to, sometimes they have to sit through the entire light without one car going through, because there's so much traffic coming from Home Depot and Lowe's, and those people, they just turn and turn and turn, and before one car can make a left-hand turn, nobody else can go. So that's the reason I'm against it. That alleyway shouldn't be adding traffic for people trying to turn left in that short little distance to get on to Dartmouth in order to get on to 12 Mile. And I feel very strongly about this, and I hope you'll take our case in.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? All right. So seeing no one wishing to speak, I'm going to close public comment to the audience here. We do have a few people who have written in, so we're going to hear that, and then I will make a comment.
Okay, this email is from Beth Scott Mrs. Ratman, please read the following during public speaking to council on Monday, 9/11/23 meeting. I regret that I am unable to personally attend the forthcoming meeting in order to address the actions described as bad actors by Councilmember Wright. Having observed the meeting that took place on August 28, 2023, along with the accompanying remarks, it is evident that Councilmembers Wright and Rohrbach can be considered the aforementioned bad actors. Their behavior towards our Jewish council members and members of our community has left me appalled and utterly disgusted. While they may exhibit a lack of remorse for their conduct, I personally express regret for their actions. Consequently, I find myself feeling embarrassed on their behalf and extend my apologies. Councilmember Wright and Rohrbach are failing in their duties to ensure justice and fairness. I extend my gratitude to the esteemed Councilmember Aaron and Bliss for their efforts in guiding Councilmembers Wright and Rohrbach towards the path of righteousness and equity. Now, let us address the issue at hand without hesitation. It is imperative that this council take actions to dissolve the HREC. It has become evident that the HREC harbors individuals whom I think have malicious intentions who hide in its midst. Some individuals even exploit their purported victimhood to perpetuate harms. Regrettably, rather than fostering unity as intended, the HREC has instead sowed discord among the community. The council members assigned to this body, namely Wright and Rohrbach, are gravely neglecting their responsibilities to uphold justice and promote unity. Thank you, Beth Scott. The next one is from Amy Lewis. Dear members of the City Council, I am writing to express my deep concern and disappointment regarding the recent events involving 2 council members serving on the Human Rights and Equity Commission, HREC. The HREC and these council members scheduled a car show to take place on September 16, 2023, which directly conflicts with Rosh Hashanah, a significant Jewish holiday. I believe that members of HREC who are entrusted with the responsibility of ensuring equity and inclusivity within our community should be particularly sensitive to religious observances and holidays of all faiths. Furthermore, after watching the meeting on your YouTube channel, it has come to my attention that when the mayor attempted to bring this matter to their attention, one of the council members responded by implying that the mayor is a bad actor. Such a response is not only disrespectful, but also unbecoming of individuals in positions of leadership who should demonstrate professionalism and accountability. In light of these events, I urge these 2 council members to take full accountability for their missteps in scheduling the car show on a religious holiday and for their disrespectful response to the mayor. I believe the citizens would appreciate council members acknowledging their own implicit bias. It is also essential that they acknowledge the lack of an equitable calendar and take measures to rectify the situation. An equitable calendar should accommodate the diverse religious and cultural needs of our community. We should remember that our city's strength lies within its diversity, and it's the responsibility of the Human Rights and Equity Committee to promote understanding, respect, and inclusion among all residents. I trust that the council members involved will reflect on their actions and work towards ensuring such oversights do not reoccur in the future. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I look forward to seeing positive response and appropriate actions taken to rectify the situation and uphold the principles of equity and inclusivity within our city. Sincerely, Amy Lewis. And the third one is a statement from Robert Hoff to the Madison Heights City Council, which he dropped off to our office this morning. My name is Robert Hoff, and I own and reside at 28719 Karam Drive, Madison Heights, Michigan 48071, at the corner of Karam Drive and Dartmouth. I cannot be present at this week's meeting, but I submit this statement for the record in my absence. Mayor Grasstein, I oppose the proposed changes to the use and zoning at the property at the southwest corner of Dartmouth and 12 Mile Road for failure of proper notice, for failure to meet the demonstration of need requirement in the zoning ordinance, specifically ordinance number 252, section 10.201, subsection 4, subsection C, subsection 4, for failure to demonstrate consistency with the city's plan for this part of Madison Heights, for the failure to justify the negative impacts upon the values of adjacent properties, especially considering the undisclosed plans for expansion of and change of use of the applicant's other owned adjacent real properties. Notice was improper. Notice of the hearing on the proposed use change did not indicate that the proposal was only part of a phased plan, one that would devalue for applicant's future acquisition additional existing residential parcels near the applicant's real properties for planned retail use of applicant's neighboring real property. This did not give adjacent real property owners appropriate due notice as required by 125 MCL section 3103 and the city's ordinances. The actual purpose for the change was hidden because it is now believed to be tied to further plans to make access to the applicant's adjacent real property greater for the applicant's later development, requiring additional special use permits not yet under consideration. This lack of real notice precludes any permitting of the applicant's retail expansion until such lawful hearing is noticed and scheduled. The city is permitted to consider any number of things when determining special uses of properties. However, the commission is mandated to consider a specific few items at a minimum. See ordinance number 252 and 10.201 subsection 4 subsection C. One of those essential inquiries requires demonstration of the need for the change. Moreover, the city must consider not the need of the applicant, but the need of the city and that of the local area affected by the change in determining whether a special use may be permitted. In other words, does the neighborhood in question have a need for the proposed change? The answer when it comes to proposed use by the applicant must be resoundingly no. Can one really suggest with a straight face that the 12-mile road corridor between Stevenson Highway and DeQuinter needs one more drive-through restaurant? For there to be a demonstration of need to the city, there necessarily must be a demonstration that the existing restaurants are failing to serve that needs of the neighborhood and its visitors. The applicant cannot demonstrate more than his own desire, which does not meet the burden required by ordinance number 252. The proposed change is consistent with the city's plan for the neighborhood, the proposed change is inconsistent with the city's plans for the neighborhood, failing a required consideration for a special use exemption. Additional traffic brings additional traffic violations. Currently, traffic enforcement is light along Dartmouth, on which residents can certainly attest to consistently heavy traffic, with many drivers ignoring proposed speeds and stop signs, and many drivers currently using the applicant's driveway on Dartmouth and that of the Tim Hortons and the opposite corner as a way to unlawfully avoid red lights at the 12-mile road intersection. The city has no stated plan of increased traffic enforcement on Dartmouth in the affected neighborhood. Accordingly, the applicant's plan to increase traffic along the new drive-through driveway onto Dartmouth is inconsistent with the city's plan for the neighborhood, and this failure is a mandatory consideration weighing against any special use approval. Foreseeable negative impacts to adjacent property owners demonstrate that the applicant's proposed special use should be considered detrimental to the community and should be weighed as required by the governing ordinance. These impacts stem from increased traffic noise and loose rubbish associated with more retail waste, as comes from dumpsters, trash cans, and littering customers. These impacts change the character of the residential neighbor and will lower the desirability and value of the neighborhood residential properties that are compliant with the city zoning plans and do not deserve to suffer from unneeded, unjustified commercial expansion. Thank you for your consideration. Robert Hoff. All right.
So I was asked to speak if we were going to speak and address any of these, okay? So I will. With respect to this, we voted on this 2 meetings ago, I believe, and we voted no. We voted to postpone it or to table it. Like, there's nothing happening with it right now, okay? But it was postponed, okay. So it was postponed and it was sent back to the Planning Commission, okay?
And it's pending more information
Yeah.
from DTE.
It was pending information from DTE. Now, there was a planning meeting that took place before the council meeting, not this one, but the one that we discussed this, just talked about this at. And it's my understanding that their residents didn't come to that one. They came to the public meeting before this council meeting, and obviously you are all here now. And what I asked the residents who were here, and I recognize a couple of you, I asked you to make sure you checked with Matt, who was our planner, to find out when the Planning Commission is talking about this next, okay? That is the best venue to share your concerns, which obviously we're hearing them, okay? And I live by 12 Mile, and I'm so glad that it's open now, but I can only imagine the semis and everything else with construction, because I know what I've seen. And construction, for the most part, has been out of our hands. And I completely understand what you're talking about, all right? So there are certain things that we can and we cannot do. So right now, tonight, there is nothing we can do, okay? I cannot say, I want a motion to say we're never going to expand that gas station or anything like that. That's not something we can do. What I can do is I can, if one of you wants to appoint somebody that I will make sure I let you know when the Planning Commission is having their next meeting, so you can address the concerns, okay? All right, because that is. Okay, so that is probably not going to happen for another month or so. Okay, so nothing is happening right now. Nothing is happening right now. It's not on the agenda.
So there
We're
is a
not,
planning commission meeting next Tuesday, but this isn't on the agenda because when the council postponed it, they postponed it pending information about DTE because those of you that were at the meeting knew that there was issues with that. And so we've not received anything else since that meeting at that time. So it's not on the planning commission agenda.
if we were talking about it on Tuesday, then I would tell you, come to that meeting, okay? But it's not happening, so the earliest it will be October, okay? If you would like to leave your name, number, your contact information with us, then we will make sure that we let you know which meeting that is, okay? But nothing is happening now. So I cannot say to council right now, let's vote on it and say we can never expand it. That's not something I'm allowed to do, okay? We do have rules we have to follow, all right? So that's one thing I want to address. The other thing I want to address is I want to apologize to Councilman Fleming because I defend people. It's my job as mayor. It's also in my nature for a large part, but it's my job as mayor when something is happening to determine when I should step in and when I shouldn't. And one of the things that I often do when someone is attacking me is I just sort of let them. And I say, you know what, someone's having a bad day. Everyone has a bad day. By the grace of God, someone's having a bad day. But I was wrong at the last meeting when the Jewish people on council were being referred to as bad actors. I took that as me, and I said, you know what? Someone's upset. They're having a bad day. I'm not going to address it. And Councilman Fleming, you were included in that, and I want to apologize to you for that, because I should have put aside my feelings when you were being attacked, and I failed you, and I failed everyone in that. And I want to publicly apologize for failing you, for not defending you when you were being accused of being a bad actor. Okay, so please accept my apology for that. Thank you. What else was in public comment? The grilling? I did discuss it with Mrs. Marsh. And the bottom line with that was that the HREC is a part of the city. And so any ticket that would be sent out would be to the city. We would be ticketing ourselves. And I went round in this conversation. I knew nothing about that. I was at that event. I saw the grilling. I didn't know because I had nothing to do with planning that event. And I think that there is a lot of misinformation out there about what I do and I do not know. I do not and I should not, and it's not feasible for me to micromanage every member of council, every group, every staff member. You know, we expect that people are being responsible with things, and when they're not, there's a way that it goes up. So in this situation with the grilling, when I found out about it, it was after the fact, okay? And Mrs. Marsh had my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Mrs. Marsh had a conversation with Mr. Wright about the grilling. And when that was being planned, whoever didn't know, and you are correct, at the baseball game, we sat around for an hour or so waiting to have everything set up so that we could do that. And the only reason I knew that we needed a permit, because again, I was not involved in that organization, the only reason I knew about it was because of what had happened with the HREC. So I don't know who else to go to. With respect to the letters that were read in regarding the dissolution of the HREC, I do not want to get rid of the Human Relations and Equity Commission. I think that we need to have something in the city so that everybody feels included. But I do not think that this current group is doing that. And that was evidenced 2 weeks ago when an event that is supposed to be inclusive of all races, religions, cultures, etc., was set up on a date, one of the holiest days for the Jewish people. And the fact that nobody in that group was aware of it, and the fact that I thought that 3 years ago a calendar was being worked on and Councilor Rohrbach said it was too difficult to do, but then I was told after the fact, actually at that baseball game, that there was a calendar, and I said, I don't know if that upsets me more that there is a calendar or that I'm being told there wasn't. So I don't know, because I I was one of the original council people here who said we should have this. It was Mayor Pro Tem Bliss, it was Councilor Rohrbach, it was Councilman Soltis. We were the members of council who said we should have this group. We want to make sure that everybody feels included. And whenever I have asked questions about this group, what else are you doing, what's going on, I have been made to feel that I have been attacking them. All right? And I'm not putting my interests anywhere. I go do what I do with the different groups, and I want to make sure everybody feels included. And if I were running the HREC, I would have something like a diversity calendar. I would be doing something for everybody as a whole, and not doing the pieces for this, and the pieces for that, and the pieces for whatever. Now, I think I have addressed everything that was mentioned in public comment. Is there anything I missed? All right. Then, moving on, we have the consent agenda. Can I please get a motion for the consent agenda? We have 4 items. We have the special council meeting from August 28th, the regular meeting from August 28th, the special meeting from the 30th, and the Director of Public Services fiscal year 2024 Smart Municipal and Community Credits Contract Resolution.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes?
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. Next up, we have reports from the Finance Director, the contract for assessing services with Oakland County. It's a 2-year agreement.
Since July 11th, the City of Madison Heights has contracted assessing services with Oakland County Equalization. The current agreement expired on June 30th, 2023, and Oakland County Equalization is proposing a renewal contract for a 2-year term. This proposed renewal is essentially the same as the current contract except for a 4% per parcel increase. This is in line with the proposal given to all other communities that contract with Oakland County for these services. Fiscal year 2024 budget was approved with the amount of $213,309, and the anticipated cost of this proposal is $221,779 for fiscal year 2024 and $230,630 for fiscal year 2025. Therefore, a budget amendment in the amount of $8,470 is also being requested. The budget amendment does require a vote of 5 council members.
All right, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget in the amount of $213,309. The anticipated cost of the proposal total, so $221,779 for fiscal year 2024 and $230,630 for fiscal year 2025 for the budget amendment, and the total amount of $8,470 is being requested for 101-257-818-000 for the current fiscal year 2024 budget.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes.
we actually need 2 motions. We need, if council's inclined to approve, we need a motion to renew the contract with Oakland County Equalization for a term of 2 years. This approval would require 4 votes. And then we need a second motion to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $8,470 for the current fiscal 2024 budget, and this would require 5 votes.
All right. Okay, so let's go with this one first. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then for the second motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the current agreement, or the renewal of the contract for 2-year term.
Budget amendment.
The book, where I'm.
No, it's not you're right. You're doing
Okay.
it right.
Okay.
You want to
renew
approve the contract with Oakland County Equalization for a 2-year term.
So noted.
Okay, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
Your motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then also from the Finance Director, the Accelerated Tax Foreclosure Resolution.
The Certification of Abandoned Property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act allows the property with delinquent taxes to be certified as abandoned by the local governing body and entering into an accelerated foreclosure process in which the county treasurer's office can foreclose on a property 1 year earlier than the regular 3-year foreclosure process. Accelerating the tax foreclosure process is a useful tool to expedite removing abandoned property or reduce blight. A resolution certification for abandoned property for Acceleration Forfeiture Act is included tonight for your consideration, and staff recommends that council approve this certification for abandoned property upon reading the resolution. So this would only be used in rare circumstances where the property has been abandoned or some other reason that we need to take action.
Okay, what is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we adopt the resolution for certification of abandoned property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Yeah.
Support.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just think it's common sense. If we can reduce 1 year of blight on a property that's vacant and inevitably, causing code enforcement issues, causing the neighbors to have issues, and we can take 1 year out of it, I think it's a no-brainer, and we should absolutely do it.
All right, thank you. Sorry, sir, public comment has been closed. Did you have something?
I do, yeah. So right now, it's 3 years, and that's mandated from the county, I believe. So how does the city, though, have the authorization to change what the county's ruling is?
So this is this is through the Oakland County Treasurer's Office, so we would alert Oakland County that this is a property that maybe we're taking to court, or it's been abandoned, or any number of things, and they could expedite it. So there still is the same processes in place where there's a hearing and those kinds of things on the Oakland County side. It just would speed it up 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to be in the position, and this is just my opinion, that we have a property that somebody owns, that they don't have, that there's a property owner, but there's no resident in the house, right? And that they're not maintaining it, and then they fix it up beforehand, and then they're in a foreclosure status from the thing. But is it only because they have a tax due? Like
This would only be properties that had not paid their taxes for at least 2 years, so this actually would
I
be
just wanna
happening
make that
already in 3 years because you have to wait till after the end of 2 years. So we would already know that it had been abandoned, and it typically would be used in situations that I think it would be useful for. We had a house that actually had a fire in it, and it was just abandoned. The owners walked away. The owner had unfortunately passed away, and so we had to wait for the whole tax foreclosure process to go through before we actually bought it under right of first refusal, sold it to a developer to get the house basically rebuilt, and then sold to a first-time homeowner in the city. So that was an eyesore that we got numerous complaints about in the city for almost 4 years before that process happened. So I don't think that it's gonna be used often. It really won't be used often because it has to be somebody that's in tax foreclosure. And typically, even back in the recession, the most that we ever had, I think, was 12 that actually made it all the way through the process. So we're only talking about a small number of homes, but it will be a useful tool in those one-off cases. And Jeff probably knows as well as I do because he's the one that handles a lot of them when we have to go through the demo process, really how, time-consuming that process is, and a lot of those have back taxes due. But we don't do that very often either.
I have no further other questions.
All right, does anyone else have any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those against say no. Motion carries. And then last up, we have from Purchasing Coordinator, Custodial Services Contract Award.
Madison Heights has renewed our custodial contract with our current contractors since 2012. This was a cost containment measure that's benefited the city. However, with the completion of the new construction of the Civic Center complex that's resulted in increased square footage, different flooring materials, new sanitary facilities, staff determined that it was the right time to go out for an RFP for new services. We submitted that RFP and posted it for the City Hall, Active Adult Center, Library, 43rd District Court, Police Department, and the DPS. Out of 177 vendors who were emailed this notice, 41 companies downloaded it and read the specifications. 10 vendors showed up for the mandatory walkthrough, and we received 7 proposals for services. We're currently operating under a month-to-month agreement with our current providers. The new initial contract term for the custodial services would be targeted to start on October the 1st of 2023 and go through June the 30th of 2025. The low apparent bidder for all buildings is Do All Cleaning out of Sterling Heights with a projected annual cost of $234,066.72 for all buildings. The city subtracted an estimated amount for expendable supplies to confirm that pricing would be provided for adequate services and competitive wages. After reviewing all the bids and speaking to a representative from Do All, we confirmed that Do All would be able to have staff available to be fingerprinted and cleared to start on this October 1st date. Therefore, instead of reading my comments, I'm actually going to read to you what the motions should be, because the first one is fairly lengthy. There would be a motion to award the custodial contract to the lowest competent bidder, Do All Cleaning, for an initial contract period beginning October 1st, 2023, through and including June 30th, 2025, at a base 12-month cost of $234,066.72, or $19,505 per month, subject to A, the right to extend the contract on a year-to-year basis upon mutual agreement of the parties, with the option to include increases in line with documented expendable product charges or increases in minimum wage not to exceed $15,000 without council's review and approval, and B, the right to cancel the contract on a building-to-building basis for cause or without cause. This approval would require 4 votes, and you don't have to restate that whole motion.
Okay, so can I get a motion to, as stated by, to approve as stated by the city manager?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as stated.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor. Support.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries.
And there is one more, so this does require a budget amendment. Since we had not gone out to bid for this since 2012, we were kind of guessing when we put together the budget, and it came in $40,242 more than our fiscal year 2024 budget. So we need a budget amendment for that. It is over various account numbers, so I don't have an account number for you, but just in total. So this would require 5 votes of council.
All right, and can I get a motion for that, please?
Your Honor, I move that we do the budget amendment of $40,242 from the accounts as noted by the city manager.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. We are going to go into executive session, but before we do that, I am going to invite closing comments, and seeing how I spoke rather lengthy at public comment, I'm going to mix things up, and I'm going to start with Councilman Soltis.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, Councilman Fleming.
Yeah, the one thing I want to address here is that the Dartmouth Street, which I also, drive and take all the time going north to 12 Mile, is if maybe we could, and maybe the traffic department, we have a traffic safety committee, could be, to look at maybe putting a sign there at Dartmouth that would say local traffic only. They have a lot of traffic going down that street. It's very narrow, and sometimes I wonder if somebody's going to hit somebody when it gets, where it becomes like a T there. I don't know the street names where it has an intersection there, but yeah, there's too much traffic as it is. And I don't think that we should remove the traffic signal, but I think that that would be a safety issue. But putting a sign there saying, local traffic only might detour some people that are just using it as a shortcut that don't even live in the area. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Rohrbach?
I'll just say first, I support that idea of adding a local traffic only sign on Dartmouth Street. My daughter's best friend lives back at the corner of Bel Air and Dartmouth, and I'm there a lot. It can be, it can be crazy. So I support that completely, and I hope that we can find a way to make life in that neighborhood more pleasant for the residents. All right, so I have something to say tonight because I feel like there have been some, accusations and some things said here tonight that really that really are to need to be addressed by me. And so first I want to acknowledge the mistake that the Human Relations and Equity Commission made in our initial scheduling of the Motorama and Smoke event on September 16th. It was a mistake. I apologize for my response. I was taken off guard and did not respond how I would have liked. I did not respond how I know I should have. And I take responsibility for getting worked up when I did. And I apologize for that. As someone who cares deeply, I care deeply about the recognition and celebration of all communities, of all ethnicities, religions, abilities, all people in this beautiful, diverse community that we have. I do. And it's always my hope to be thoughtful and considerate and inclusive. I fail sometimes because I am a human. The Human Relations and Equity Commission's mission is to advise council on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, promote programs, services that celebrate and honor the people of all backgrounds. The Human Relations and Equity Commission is made up of residents in the city who also care deeply about these issues. And the members of the commission work hard to be cognizant of issues, concerns, and important aspects of the diverse community that we live and work in here in Madison Heights. Excuse me. The HRAC met a few days after our last council meeting and discussed the scheduling mistake that was made and discussed how to ensure that similar mistakes wouldn't happen in the future. I'll note that I did say, I think we made it. I was caught off guard. I think we made the calendar, but I was trying to remember off the top of my head what the situation was. But the truth is, we do have a calendar. And the problem is that it wasn't properly consulted at the time when we were making the scheduling decision. That's how the mistake happened. And the HRAC collectively discussed and acknowledged that it was a mistake that we shouldn't have made. It's like right in our core. That's definitely a mistake that we should not have made. And we apologize and ask for grace from our community and the forgiveness of those who were hurt by this mistake. We are fallible humans, and I cannot guarantee that another mistake will happen or not happen. I can't guarantee that because we are fallible humans. But we will do our very best. When we discussed how to make sure that we didn't miss these things again, I recognized that I had personally thought that I had those events in my calendar. So when I didn't see it, it didn't even cross my mind that it wasn't there. I double-checked it, I looked, and I thought, oh, I missed a button, a click, that added the additional calendar items to my calendar that I thought I had done. And so the mistake was made, and I apologize. I acknowledge the mistake and hurt feeling and the hurt that was felt by people in our community. I acknowledge that I can and should do better in my personal response. And I beg grace from the community for that. I hope that we can continue to make progress as a city, working to be more inclusive and equitable in everything that we do. The Human Relations and Equity Commission is not, it's made up of people, so it is not perfect. It will make mistakes. And it is not and cannot be the only avenue of accountability for our city. And so I appreciate it being brought forward that the mistake was made and that we had the opportunity to rectify it. The event, the Motor Rum and Smoke, was originally scheduled for the 16th. It is now going to be on the 23rd. It's not, all right, never mind. Oh, sorry, we had a whole long discussion about it. We bounced around a bunch of numbers. 14th, on October 14th is the date that it was going to be. That event changed, and we hope that people will come and enjoy it. It is going to be a fun event. It was always meant to be a fun event to bring people in from with different ways of looking at the world, different experiences, people who want to experience something in Madison Heights, maybe that they haven't before. And so we hope that people will come and do that. Now, I have to finally address this issue. The mayor has been repeatedly implied that the Human Relations and Equity Commission is somehow purposely doing things to leave out and hurt the community. And here's the thing. The mayor has my phone number. She has my email address. She knows where I live. Same with Councilor Wright. There have been numerous incidents in which the mayor may have a concern regarding the HREC, but instead of picking up the phone or emailing or reaching out in any way to Councilor Wright or myself or any members of the Human Relations and Equity Commission, instead, the mayor waits to bring it forward in a public meeting to somehow call us out in some sort of gotcha moment, to infer that the Human Relations and Equity Commission is doing something nefarious. The Human Relations and Equity Commission is fairly new. It's been around for a few years now, and it has faltered at times. And it has been criticized constantly. But I beg you to remember that it is a group of residents who care about issues of diversity and inclusion in the city. The group has made mistakes. It will make mistakes again. I have made mistakes, and I'll make mistakes again. But I hope that we can find a way to work together to improve the relations for all people here in the city of Madison Heights.
Thank you. Is there anything from the clerk's office this evening?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the city manager?
Yes, I have two exciting things to talk about. On Monday, we're having the grand opening of the Civic Center Plaza. It is going to be held from 5:30 to 7:30. We are going to have raffles and music, so even if you've already seen the Active Adult Center, I encourage you to come out that night. Because one of the other things that's happening is Oakland County or Madison Heights is partnering with Oakland County to reimagine Ambassador Park. And by reimagine, I mean it's going to stay a park, but just what features are going to be there. And so we're hoping to bring something like a one-of-a-kind type park there, something along the lines of Imagination Hills, I think it's called, or Innovation Hills in Rochester on a smaller scale, but more multi-generational. So it'll be one-of-a-kind multi-generational park right now in the entire area. So we need your feedback to do that, and we have 3 public engagement meetings set up, so they're all going to be the same. You don't have to attend all 3, but we're encouraging the public to at least attend one of those. The first one is coming up this upcoming Saturday. That's Saturday, September the 16th, from 10:30 to 2 o'clock, and that's at the Chinese Community Center. The second one will be at that grand opening event. So if you're at the grand opening event, you can stop by and visit with Oakland County at that time. They're going to have a table set up in the hallway, much like they are about emergency preparedness right now. Again, that's Monday, September the 18th, from 5:30 to 7:30. And then again on Friday, September the 22nd, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Red Oaks Nature Center. So we tried to pick different times of the day so we could get the most participation. If you can't come in person, there is a survey, and that will be posted out on our social media. I have also tried to share it with all the boards and commissions in the community, so, and I have some flyers in my office if you're interested. I can bring you one of those before you leave. So just, if you can't come in person, I encourage you to take the survey, but if you can come in person, I think it's very interesting to talk to one of the planners that actually is behind coming up with the creative ideas that I've seen so far for this park. So I'm very excited about that, and I hope that the community is excited about it too and want to come out and give some positive input on the future of Ambassador Park. That's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sherman?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright?
Thank you, Your Honor. So I just wanted to kind of take a step back and, I heard something on Sunday that I thought I wanted to share where it just says, we're always learning at some point, and we didn't know what we know now. It's always a learning process, and, the point of the Human Relations Commission, as I said, Human Relations and Equity Commission is courageously making others' problems our problem. So to Councilor Rohrbach's point, just to back up to last meeting, I made the comment that we'll check into it because I don't unilaterally have the authority to make any changes on regard to what the HREC does. I'm the rep alternate and very passionate about it. And as was said earlier, there's a process to everything. So for me to arbitrarily, emotionally say, yes, we're going to change it, would have been incorrect, inaccurate, and something that I don't have the authority to do. So that's the part of what I said. And I did kind of respond emotionally, which is bad, because quite frankly, it seems like the one board who's designed to help fight inequities is the one that seems to be challenged on being inequitable, and the members who have to face inequities are the ones who are being challenged as not being equitable. And as a minority, it's a little frustrating for me. And I won't speak for anyone else, I'll speak for me. We always were going to move the date when we knew that there was a issue. The challenge being is that there are multiple groups involved. There's a car group involved, there's a corn group involved, there's a grilling group involved. So I can't just arbitrarily say, again, without checking in with everyone, that we can, the reality of the situation was the two options were going to be either change the date or cancel it. And I cannot do that without talking to our partners and seeing which one is the option. And so my apologies for not explaining all of that very clearly. I was a little emotional because it does feel like, we talk a lot about the D, the E, and the I, the diversity, the equity, and inclusion. Our city is definitely diverse. The inclusion and the equity part is the part that I think we have to fight for, and the part we have to be constantly reticent of. And that's why I think no one maliciously, I will speak for myself, left out Rosh Hashanah or left out any holiday. In fact, we took a look at the Drexler's calendar, and we recognize that there's pretty much a religious holiday almost every day of the week. And so it creates this conundrum, which we talked about last time. But I would like to apologize for responding to emotion, but I think what I will always do is stand up for inequity, stand up for folks who cannot voice their own, have their own voice. That is very passionate to me, because quite honestly, even up here sometimes, I recognize that my voice is not heard. And that is just a part of being a black man, and I deal with it, and we all have our hurdles, and I'm not trying to use that as a crutch or an excuse. That's just the reality of my life, take it or leave it. But my point is, yeah, we moved it, and we were gonna move it, so we moved it to the 14th. We're gonna move on, we're gonna learn, and I wanna encourage people watching, people who are involved. I think it is a natural response for us to first wanna shame people, like, how could you, how dare you? And shaming is not productive. I think I'm being guilty of it. I feel like we should try to not shame others, but let's really talk to one another. If there really is a true concern, I think let's try to create a dialogue. I will personally say you can always reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. You can email me. I will sit down and talk with you. But my point is, crucial conversations need to be had face-to-face. These forums where we talk like this, it does not work, and it never will work, because we're just throwing horseshoes, and that doesn't work in conversation. So I invite us all to get more personal, to talk to one another first face-to-face before we talk in the diocese. Talk to each other, and I'm not just talking to my council members, I'm talking to all of us. Let's have a personal conversation, because I know at the heart of what we all want is good for our city to be a place where we all want to grow, live, and play. And so with that, I want to invite you out to Madison Heights Smoke and Motorama. It's going to be a car show, so if you have a classic car, bring it out. If you like cornhole, we're going to have a competition. And if you have ever thought about doing a barbecue competition, look up Kansas City Barbecue Society. Look up the rules. And I know there's questions about the health department and their involvement in it. Barbecue competitions are a sport, and the food is never meant to be served to the public. We've checked with the Oakland County Health Department on it the first time we did it, and I suspect that we are actually in the process of checking with them again, and I suspect they'll probably be there the day of the competition to make sure that everything is kosher, and I say bring it. So come on out. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my other note. Two more things I just wanted to just say is, God, let's just remember to be kind. Like, everyone here is just doing the best they can. I know we disagree, but at the end of the day, I got 3 little daughters and a wife to go home to. I know Mark has a wife and kids. I know Toya has a kid. I know everyone up here has a family, a husband, a partner, a spouse, a something, kids. Let's just remember to be kind. But I say that because this is also like National Suicide Prevention Month. And there's some people in this world who have some real struggles, like how am I going to pay for my food? But there's also people in this world who don't necessarily think that they should be here anymore. And we need to make sure that we are cognizant of what everyone else is potentially going through. So maybe you see me and I'm not smiling, just keep in mind, like, maybe I'm going through something, and I'll try to do the same to you. Always know that 988 is available for you. Always know that people care about you, and that, like, it's okay for us to disagree in here and to fight, but man, let's just try to remember to love each other and come back and say, hey, you know what? You're all right. Like, say hello, On the way in, I said, hey, Mark, we come here, we talk, maybe we disagree. But at the end of the day, it's like I always think about that Looney Tunes cartoon where you had, like, the coyote and, like, was it the hound dog? The big dog? Like, they had their issues, but when they clocked out, they were like, see you later, Frank. So remember to be kind, and I will yield my time.
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, I suppose that this is an interesting day to have conflict and dialogue. I was sitting here reflecting, and it's crazy how today, 9/11, is such a normal day. Yeah, I went to work, we came here, we've had long meeting, lots of debate, lots of conversation about multiple issues. The junior from Lamfair version of me would be shocked right now. And so I think life goes on, but I think it's some of these days that we cross, it's a good time, and I'm so thankful I was able to give that invocation today because, life goes on, but we should never forget. And I think in the context of everything that people have been saying about, collaboration and about being kind and the difficulty that people are going through, I think it's also important to remember that everything you thought was good can change instantly. And I think that's what, junior and high school Mark learned very quickly that day, is what you thought was important, all the things you might have been fighting about or fretting about can change very quickly. So I just wanted to make sure we have that perspective. I know we've consistently celebrated and had, we had the memorial for the anniversary, and it'd just be nice to make sure that it's on agendas going forward. It doesn't have to be the same day of, but it'd be nice for us to do a little remembrance, especially when, like today, it falls on the date on the anniversary of September 11th. For Dartmouth, when I was, so I'm on the planning commission. When we first talked about it, I wasn't in favor. The majority of residents had multiple questions, and to me, the last time the city gave up rights to something before that we had known exactly what was going to go there and we wanted it to go there, we ended up with a car wash. So I'm not big on that. I'm thankful that we have plans to discuss now, and I wasn't at the meeting when it came up, and I'm glad that it was referred back to the Planning Commission. But now that we have plans, the discussion is definitely in part, what are those plans? What is that impact to traffic? What is the impact to the neighborhood? How does it tie into our future land use plan? All of those things. And so I, like the mayor, encourage people to come out to the Planning Commission. The two of us serve on it as representatives from council, and love to hear your voice there, because everybody in that room, just like everybody up here tonight, we're all just your neighbors. And so all of those concerns that you have are the same concerns that we would have if it was on our street. And so I encourage you to come out, very, very important to do so, or just send a letter, send an email, and we'll make sure it's read into the record if you don't have the time or the ability to be there. I want to quickly highlight Trail Tunes, because it was fabulous and we haven't talked about it yet. First, I want to thank our incredible volunteers, especially the Planning Committee. My co-chair, Vita Palazzolo, Arts Board Chair, Steve Dombrowski, Arts Board Vice Chair, Michael Covert, who's in the back there. Give him a nod and a handshake when you walk out. A lot of good work from them, as well as Harley Mordowski, a new member of the Arts Board, who actually joined us after being our high school rep for multiple years. Went to college, graduated, came back, and rejoined the board, and immediately jumped into helping us plan Trail Tunes. So really thankful for that. Also, I'm thankful to my peers who donated. We hit some financial challenges with this year's festival, and I'm so thankful to everybody who not just donated but also helped us to coalesce additional donations. Like when I called Mayor Grafstein, when I called Councilman Fleming, they've stepped up immediately, not just giving their own donations, but also helping to connect us with additional people. And so I'm really thankful for that. I'm also thankful at the end of the night, many of us were there. Councilwoman Aaron was working the beer tent at the time, and she came up with Mayor Grafstein and I to announce our top 5 and kick off kind of that, the battle. And so our top 5 were Colin Lazorka of Colin and the Cougars, who's been with us from the beginning, Zozette and the Groove, who've been with us since our second festival, which was awesome to see, Leisure Machine, who's been with us since the very first festival we did in the pandemic, and our 2 head-to-head battlers are K-Fave, the People's Band, who are new this year. They rocked it at the Juneteenth Festival and then came to join us for Trail Tunes. And they were battling against the Aspersions, who were coming back for just their second year. And it was a hard-fought battle, but the Aspersions won. Really excited about that. But I think what I'm most excited about is Trail Tunes gives us the chance to try things out. One of the bands, the Scott Rona Quartet, that was playing there is actually going to be playing for our grand opening, because we have a relationship with these bands. The Arts Board is connected with all these local musicians, and so when we need somebody to play at an event like the grand opening that we're doing here, that really we immediately can tap that list. And the beer tent. So a lot of our events, we struggle. We keep asking for donations over and over. Things like our festival in the park, we haven't been able to do that. So the chamber stepped up really big, and huge thanks to them. And we were able to do a test run of having a beer tent without any incident. Now, would all of us have loved another 2,000 to 5,000 people jam in our park and potentially causing an issue? Sure. But it was a nice test run on a smaller scale, and I'd love to see the beer tent come and be a test run at our festival in the park, to where if we can raise cash there instead of consistently asking for donations for it, I think that would be very helpful. But one thing was apparent to me, though, because people kept asking me at the event, why wasn't this in the city calendar or the rec brochure? And so it became very evident to me. I'd like to put in a formal request to staff that events like that, of that size, and I don't know what that would be across all of our boards and commissions, But if they get in and submitted by a certain date, we should definitely put those on the city calendar and in the Parks and Rec brochure that's mailed out, just so people can mark it on their calendars, they know it's coming, and it gives a nice direct point of contact for the things that the city boards are doing. Finally, I want to point out, with the I-75 12-mile opening up, at the last meeting, I asked for a resolution to our local leaders asking for additional cash and support coming from the state to be able to help with the fact that we have suffered so much additional traffic on roads like Dartmouth that every one of those are going to have to pull up 2, maybe 3 years in their construction schedule. And we're going to have to fill a lot more potholes than we've ever filled. Our residents have already had to put up with that construction, basically ruining our neighborhoods for the last few years. I'd hate for them to have to put up with roads that we can't afford to fix because of the additional traffic. I know our representatives in Lansing, they've come to meetings recently. I saw our state rep at Trail Tunes. I'm sure that they'll want to help us, but I want to make sure we get something on record for them to move up, because while many communities will benefit from the I-75 expansion, we took a beating from it. And so I just want to make sure that that's very clear and very evident, and I'd love to see that on the next council meeting agenda so we can have them start the discussion in Lansing as early as possible before we start having to write any checks for these additional construction projects. That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Aaron?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is really strange being the last and not the first. But
I
as
go
it
after you.
said, the last shall be first. Anyway, first, getting off, I just want to congratulate again Mark and Linda Leonard and James and Mary Ann Simons on their great work and the upkeep of their beautiful yards. I am totally looking forward to the holiday lights. I give them kudos because I keep looking at my yard and I'm like, I want to plant this flower, then I seen a weed grow and I seen a piece of grass grow and I'm like, okay, go to work, go to council, go do this. And my flowers are getting embedded with, I don't know if it's grass or weeds, but but next year I'm going to be right with it. I think I probably said that last year, but next year I definitely will be right. Many of what I was going to say has already been spoken tonight. Trail Tunes was a phenomenal event. I enjoyed it, having the vendors there, having the beer tent, getting the opportunity to sit front row and watch the Battle of the Bands was the best part of the evening. If you left prior to 7 p.m., you missed an awesome, awesome, awesome show. It was so wonderful. And there was no doubt who the winner was once I heard them play. Again, with the Dartmouth residents, as everyone else has stated, we have talked about it. It is being worked on. There's nothing that's happening right now. And council heard all of your voices the first time, and we hear you all now. Councilor Wright had mentioned that September is National Suicide Awareness Month. Sometimes we don't know what people are going through. We have to be very cognizant of what they're dealing with and how to look at it. And when I look at some of the rates of what's going on with suicide, people are 4 times more likely to die by suicide. Living in a stressful situation, when we're looking at finances, many people that are 75% actually of people that are having mental health issues are those that are employed, where we're getting up every day, going to work and hiding behind a mask. And we never know what that mask is until it's been unveiled. And many times you've heard when someone has committed suicide, when the young lady jumped from the 24th floor of the Jeffersonian building last week, many people said, but she was always vibrant. She always smiled. She laughed. That's a mask. A mask is a person that is on social media displaying all the wonderful trips and holidays that they're having and this wonderful life, yet they're sitting in the shower crying every night because they have no one to talk to. So if you see something, say something. We can be each other's leaning shoulder and help. Suicide is serious. It's a very common thing. And it does not just affect adults, it affects our children as well. And we want to make certain and give that check-ins, those wellness checks on people Even when someone says, I'm okay, examine what that I'm okay means. That I'm okay could mean I'm okay for the moment, or I'm really okay. I have had 3 people that I love dearly, 2 of which were my very best friends, that committed suicide. And neither time was I able to see what they were going through because they kept telling me, I'm okay. So, lean on them. Your strong friends, those are the ones that's probably needing the most help. Don't overlook the strong friends. Again, our last series for our financial literacy course is next Wednesday, September 20th at the library. It is how to make your money grow locally, 6 p.m. If you all can, please come out. It's been a wonderful series so far. And if I can jump back, I think Councilor Wright gave the phone number for the suicide line. It's 988. Just text it. Or you can call at 800-950-6264. Now, finally, when I go back, I'm going to discuss the HREC. First, Mrs. Colbert, you're absolutely right. The council deal failed. When you brought up the fact that there was food given out at the park, no one took onus of what happened. No one said, I'm sorry. Myself personally, I didn't know what the law was or what the ruling was at that point, at that time, but now I know. So when you say that it's a public safety event, it affects me because that's what I stand on, public safety. So if any one person at any time at that park would have gotten sick from a raw hot dog or a mixed product or whatever the case may have been, the city would have been liable. Had that been any other persons, when we say the city is liable, the city needs to take a stance and say, we wronged our people. We're sorry. We did not mean to do it. And as Councilor Rohrbach said, mistakes happen. This was a learning curve. That was a mistake, and we will never make the same mistake again. I can guarantee you that. No matter if it's 20 years from now, it will always be noted that we have to have the health inspector come out to inspect any food that we will serve to any resident in the city of Madison Heights. I guarantee you that. We've learned from this mistake, so we apologize. Councilor Rohrbach stated that the purpose of the HREC was to advise the City Council of programs, policies, and activities that promote positive human relations and equitable outcomes. Nonetheless, since I have been sitting on this council for the last year, council has not been yet advised of any of those things. If I am wrong, forgive me. But council has not been advised. There has never been a decision or a conversation where council has been asked, what do you think this activity should be? How can we go about rounding out the city to make our city a more inclusive city? Councilor Wright stated that we had the diversity part down. Nonetheless, we lack the inclusion and the equity. But when you have someone sitting on council calling our mayor and another member bad actors, if you have someone sitting on council stating that if any time a person says anything negative on the flip side of the HREC, they are being told that they are racist. I've heard these comments prior to sitting in this seat, that those people were racist. Racism is prevalent in the world. But does that mean that if I voice my opinion, that makes me a racist? No, that means that I have an opinion. One thing that I like to always say when I'm talking with my clients at work, one of the rights that every mental health patient has is the right to complain. That is the same right guaranteed to every person in the world. So because I don't agree with you, that does not make me a racist. Because I don't like something that you said doesn't make me a racist. So, counselor, when you state that the mayor can pick up the phone and call you, or it feels as though she's giving you a I got you moment, that is not the case. The case is the mayor has been called a racist, blatantly in her face, blatantly by members of council. She has been called that. Councilman Fleming has been called a racist by members of council. So at some point, sometimes, their voices are shattered or shut because they're afraid to speak because they don't want that label placed upon them. So, one of my things, to be prior to running the first term, I wanted to be a part of the HREC because the diversity, equity, and inclusion is part of my background. I wanted to be a part. I was a member for one meeting, and then I was appointed to council. I have asked many times to please allow me to assist in some form, shape, form, or fashion, because especially today, being that it's 9/11, and people are still being targeted because of their ethnicity and their race, we need something greater. We need to learn how to talk to one another, how to share our experiences, and not just say, if you have a problem, talk to me. Live the work and defend the work. Do not sit back and apologize, and in your apology, bring forth an excuse. An apology is just that. I apologize if I offended anyone, and that's the bottom line. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Aaron. I remember where I was on September 11th, 2001, because I was in Toronto. I wasn't here yet, and I was planning on coming here a few days later, and I was 34 floors up, and we were watching on the TVs, and I worked with people who were on the phones, with people who were in the towers. And we left early. You know, we were told initially, if you don't feel comfortable, you can go home, and we were told maybe half an hour later, go home. You're not to be here, because the concern was that the planes, if there were more, would be turning towards us. And I worked on Bay Street, which is like the Canadian Wall Street, and, you know, at 10:30, 11 o'clock, all of us from all the buildings, because 34 floors isn't that tall in Toronto, we all went down to the subways, and you know, in the middle of the day, all these people who are, you know, retirees and at-home parents were trying to figure out what we were doing, why were we leaving early? And we all looked around strangers and said, you need to go home and turn on the news, because we didn't know, would we be telling someone your son who works in New York might not be there? And this was strangers just coming together. And I remember that feeling. And I remember, because I did come down here a few days later, and I remember crossing the border, and I've never been so terrified crossing this border. You know, I remember that, and I remember the feeling of people who were here, and everyone was still in awe and concerned, but everyone was coming together. And as terrifying as those first few days were, there was also this sense of coming together. And I always held on to that. Gas station, Dartmouth, everyone's talked about it. There's nothing that's happening now. Nothing's going to happen at the Planning Commission, but we're going to get your information, and we're going to make sure that you know. And we hear you. And I don't think that anyone on the Planning Commission or on council wants to turn our city into gas stations and nothing but. So we're going to figure this out. I appreciate that you came. We hear you, and we'll get your information and let you know the next time where your voice will mean a little bit more, okay? And thank you for staying for the end of the meeting as well. Suicide prevention, these months where we say, this is Suicide Prevention Month, this is such and such month, this is such and such day, you know, it's always be aware. Greatest guy I knew, he was a clown in the Thanksgiving Day parades, and he took his own life. And it's like, but he always had a smile, and he did these things for the kids, and it's like, you don't know what's going on. And maybe that's why I always give grace, is because, or I try, because you don't know what's going on in someone's life. You don't know what's happening. With respect to the communication issues, there are communication issues. I agree with you, Mrs. Covert, and I know that you know, previous council didn't seem to have these issues. I don't know if being on Zoom is something, you know, that was difficult for everyone. I don't know if that's what happened, that when we came back in person, we just had a problem connecting. But I have tried over the last few years to bring us together. We've had restaurant week. We used to have restaurant week, and we did council meals. I've brainstormed with Mayor Pro Tem Bliss about what can we do to get people out, bring it so we are talking to each other as people and doing things. And I try, but there's only so much. It's a two-way, and there's only so much. So hopefully, everyone says they want to work on things. Hopefully, that will happen. The baseball game was great. That was something that basically one of our police officers said that he wanted to do this, and I threw out the first pitch, and that is what I did. I did not do, and people were telling me, this was great, thanks for organizing it, and I'm like, hey, I'd love to take credit for this. I threw this out. That guy over there, these people here, that's who did this. So it was a lot of fun, and it was really community, and it was just really, really nice. When you talk about the small town feeling that you feel here, we've got, about 30,000 people. But this was it was a really, really nice event. And so I just want to thank everyone who participated. And I want to thank Councilwoman Aaron for being our scorekeeper. She dragged her son along on his birthday. And, it was a lot of fun. Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 26th. It is going to be Tuesday. It's also going to be the last day of Citizens Academy. So we're going to have those awards presented, those certificates presented as well. And we are going to be going into closed session in a moment. So you are welcome to stay, but this is basically the end of the meeting. So can I please get a motion to go into closed session?
Your Honor, I think we had that motion.
Oh, do we have the motion over? Oh, we did. Okay, my apologies. That's right. It was so long ago. Okay, the time is 9:26. We're going into closed session. We're going to take a 5-minute break and go into closed session. Thank you. That's right. We had the motion at the beginning. have to be roll call.
It's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah, and they're all for sale too.
Really?
Well,
I'm going to call this meeting back from recess and ask what is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we adopt and move forward with the recommendation of our legal counsel as it relates to Arctic Fox versus Madison Heights, Bloom Capital LLC versus Madison Heights, and 305 North Euclid LLC versus Madison Heights.
All right, thank you. All in favor, please
Oh,
say.
you need a second.
Oh, sorry, second. Can I get a second, please?
Your Honor.
Yes, thank you.
Second.
Sorry, is there any discussion?
Your Honor, does this require a roll call vote?
No.
Can we have a roll call vote?
I mean, sure, we can do that. All right, so is there any other discussion? All right, clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Councilwoman Aaron,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss,
I vote yes.
Councilman Fleming,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
No.
Councilman Soltis. No. Councilor Wright,
No.
Mayor Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries 4-3. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. It is 10 after 10.